Hello and welcome to RCHacker. My name's Mark, and today I'm going to have a little bit of a talk about the new 9XR that's just come out. Now everyone's going to hate this. I don't actually have one yet. Of course, they were sold out in minutes. They're going to be super popular, these radios. But I do have with me a Turnigy 9X, which is running the exact same firmware which will be on the 9XR, albeit it won't have the flash screen that the 9XR does have on it, and that's probably the only difference. So just to talk about the different types of firmware available for these, there's been a bunch of guys. I think it was THX was the first one that came out, the firmware that was written for this 9X radio, and then that evolved into the ER9X project, and then there was another guy who forked that project and made the Groovin 9X project, where he really hacked this good and proper. He freed up serial ports and he put haptic feedback in there, and the thing would even talk to you, and he even went as far as putting different MCUs in them with more memory and selling new motherboards for these. Now, and so Groovin 9X sort of, I'm speculating here, Groovin 9X sort of petered out a bit, and then another bunch of people brought up the project called Open 9X, and Open 9X is the version that I've been running on here. Very similar to ER9X, except it's got a few more features, such as it'll interface with the FrSky telemetry and display it on the screen and stuff like that. Anyway, moving on, let's have a look at the 9XR on Hobby King here. I'm on the Hobby King homepage here, so we're just going to go through and I'll just comment on some of the features and stuff they've got here. If you look at the pictures here, it's got the same number of pots, although they're moved positions, and the same number of switches as well. The main navigation buttons are exactly the same, and the LCD is the same size, just got a blue backlight instead. And of course it's got this internal antenna, which everyone's speculating about, and where no one's really sure what's going on, but I think it's a good idea. I think it's great. Like, I've broken a few of these off already, and you know, they're $2.50 each. I've got a few spares, but I think this handle is really going to be a brilliant idea. 3 flight modes, programmable timers, easy to navigate menus, clear blue backlit display, graphical expo, and rates. Now these are all features of ER9X. We'll see if we can load some of these other pictures. Here we go. On the base I got 12 volts DC, and this is the killer, the AVR ISP connection. So this is revolutionary, and it's actually revolutionary that they've actually released a product that has got open source software on it already, which is just, in my opinion, is absolutely fantastic. And this AVR ISP port will basically mean hacking the new 9XR. You won't have to open it up, you won't have to do any soldering, you'll just be able to plug in your USB ASP programmer and upload new code and upload new firmware as it becomes available. Looking at some of the menus, here's the splash screen. This is probably the only change they've made to the firmware. Okay, and of course all this stuff is standard ER9X and Open 9X stuff. One thing I haven't noticed here is the flight phases, which is a feature of Open 9X, but of course you can just flash Open 9X if you like. And I've got extra menus on mine for the telemetry and stuff like that. Alright, moving down. The software for the 9XR first began development 6 years ago. That is true. Since then it's been tweaked, tuned, changed and updated and revamped by members of the RC community into a powerful yet easy to use interface. I dispute the easy to use. It's written by nerds for nerds. So yeah, that's a point I'll get to later. One thing about open source software, the manuals aren't that great. and I'll have a little bit of talk about that later. That's one of the minus points, but it's not a biggie. For many users, it will be the perfect 9-channel radio straight out of the box. Now, interesting point, EI9X does 16 channels, and it will also support the, I'll move on to that later, but PXX and DSM protocols, but I'll move on to that. But there are many tinkerers out there who love modifying and pushing the boundaries. Now, pushing the boundaries, the 9XR with Open9X, it has been pushed to the limit. It's had 6 years of pushing, and the little ATmega64 inside this baby cannot handle any more code. In fact, if you can't actually put all the options on it. You know, there's a whole lot of options, and they all take up a certain amount of RAM. If you want the one of the big ones is there's a mod which puts a better speaker in it and makes the sound better and stuff. You know, you can't do all the mods at once, but you can do a good selection of them. Anyway, moving on. As I said, 8-channel PPM, 9-channel PCM. Yep, it'll do more than that. I'll explain that later. Full ball bearing gimbals. Now this is a good one. This is a surprise. Like, I'm pretty sure these gimbals don't have ball bearings in them, and they don't have the adjustable stick length either. So this is going to be a big selling point. Like, thumbs up, guys. That's brilliant. Digital trims, 16 model memory. Yeah, that's all pretty much the same standard EI9X stuff. What else we got? Supports M1, M2, M3, M4, so that means it'll be pretty easy to open it up and switch it over, like this one. Can be pretty confident of that. JR form factor RF modules, ORX OSM2, ORX Open LRS 433. That's Orange Open LRS and Orange DSM2. So they've designed this to fit the Orange RX modules, and I've just got it along the way. A couple of Open LRS units myself. I bought 2 receiver units. You can hack the firmware and make one transmitter and one receiver. Anyway, off topic. Programmable timers, yeah, they're brilliant. I've got a few set on these. It'll tell me how long I've been flying and all sorts of stuff. Supports 3-cell LiPo required. Now, I know the 9X, I'm running this on 2-cell, and Google it. Bruce on RC Model Reviews has got explains how to do the upgrade with the batteries, and he explains why. I've got a tutorial on my own website about the same thing, and yeah, I'm running 2-cell on mine, and it's interesting they've said 3-cell here, so maybe they've made some hardware changes inside. Like, this is a question I've got, and this is one thing that's going to kill me. Like, I'm curious to see is, have they actually done any hardware changes in this thing? I've got a hunch, I doubt it, but anyway, move on. Firmware preloaded, ISP interface, internal 2.4 gig antenna. Yeah, brilliant. And they've got a whole website as well. It's a pretty flashy website. Go and show that later. One thing the website doesn't say, I'm sure it'll come up later, is what size 3-cell LiPo can you actually put in this baby? You know, you look on the back of the thing. It's a fairly large battery tray, but it's not going to be, I'm speculating, it's not going to be that deep, and the actual radio itself doesn't look as deep as the 9X, so it'll be interesting to see what sort of batteries you can actually fit in there. It would be nice if they had on here, I don't know where it's gone, they normally have recommended parts and stuff, and then have a recommended battery, and you know, they're shooting themselves in the foot there. They'd make a whole lot more sales, some batteries, if they did that. You don't have to, I'd put a Li-FE in these, they're a hell of a lot safer than the LiPos. You know, you don't want your radios catching on fire, which batteries I had in this almost did, but yeah. And moving on, yeah, I went through these screens, no worries. Alright, let's have a look at their website. The People's Radio. Yeah, brilliant. $50. Now, that is cheap. And it's another reason why I think they haven't upgraded the hardware on it. I'll go into that. Module based, yeah, the modules on the back. What else we got? People's Radio. Yeah, that's kind of cool. Oh, this website, I reckon it's quite clever. You scroll down and stuff. Look at these chunky knobs. I reckon they're quite cool. The front end of it though, all this flashy stuff, God, it really is. It looks like it fell out of the ugly tree and hit all the branches on the way down. But I know, who cares what it looks like? Really, people are going to be cutting these up and everything. There we go. We've got them plugging in the USB ASP programmer. They got a link here for the firmware, and that takes you to, well, hobbyking.com, and I guess you got to look in the files tabs to get the firmware, but I don't know if that's in there or not. Doesn't matter. Go and get a R9X or Open 9X, and I'm sure someone will fork a new one as well. You know, call it something silly. And yeah, here are the boys. It looks like a bloody mugshot, prison or something. Anyway, all right. Oh, this is the only picture I've seen of one of these apart. You can see it there. The handle splits in half there. I can't remember this bloke's name, but yeah, on the other side there, it sort of looks like a nice design. He's got the back off, and there's no wires and stuff attached in the back, which is, when you open these ones up, oh, I've disconnected it already, but you got this wire here that sort of joins the two and holds them together. You know, that looks neat. I don't think, yeah, the switches sort of expand. So a lot of the R&D has obviously gone into the ergonomics and the design of this thing, and you know, I reckon they'll have it right, unless they've gone too thin, and that'll annoy people like me who like to stuff extra stuff in there. But yeah. Alright, I was just going to talk a bit about some of the mods to the 9X and just show the potential of what this new 9XR has got as far as hacking and stuff. Now, Groovin 9X was probably as far as they got with the 9X radio, and they rebuilt the main board, and they put a bigger processor on it, so it had more memory, and the thing could speak to you, and they freed up 2 serial ports, so you could have one for telemetry and one for, well, whatever you can imagine. You know, hook it up to your antenna tracker, or, you know, who knows. And yeah, they've got a few links here. Yeah, they've got a link to RC model reviews there, and it's a few hacks, and all these hacks will probably apply to the 9XR. Here's the PCB. They were selling the PCB. Now, I don't know, maybe Hobby King will surprise us, and they've actually, you know, this PCB has got the schematics and everything. It's I don't know, it's probably open source, but God, cross fingers that they've actually updated the MCU on it. Wire custom PCB, you get more memory, more room for expansion. You know, I'll let people go through that themselves. And the Groovin 9X guys went against an ARM-based chip. Now, a lot of the Futaba, I don't know how to pronounce it, but a lot of those fanboys will say, oh, but it's only an 18 mega, it's only an 8-bit processor, and it's like, really, get real. It's got the horsepower to do the job. Like, all it's doing is reading these inputs here, 4, 5, 6 analog inputs and a few switches, and then it's printing some stuff on an LCD and spitting a signal out, which goes into whatever receiver module you've got. Receiver modules these days, the FR Sky stuff, I'm pretty sure it's got a 32-bit processor in it, and that's so it can do all the frequency hopping, and that's where you need the speed and the power and the added resolution of 32 bits. But for this application, a few sticks and all that sort of stuff, you can get away with the 8-bit processors, and a lot of people disagree with me on that, but you know, I don't want to watch a bloody movie on the screen, and you know, I don't need a big colour screen and all that sort of stuff and play MP3s. You know, what a wank, like really wank factor. Pay $1,000 so you can listen to an MP3 while you're flying your plane. Oh yeah, oh but it's got data logging as well. Hey, yeah, you can hack this to do data logging, no worries. This is Open 9X. This is my favourite version of the firmware. Yeah, it states here it does the 16 channels. On the 16 channels, it'll output the first 8 channels on the normal one, on your normal ppm. Yeah, get it right. And then the other 8 channels will be outputted on the trainer port, so you can potentially hook up two transmitter units to these. So you could have like a, you know, 36 megahertz and your 2.4 gigahertz going to your model at the same time for redundancy. And it's just the beauty of open source stuff. Like, I'm pretty excited about it, that they've actually got these out into the hands of the public instead of just the nerds who are willing to pull it apart. Yeah, Open 9X supports telemetry and stuff like that, and I'll go on to that one thing that I'll move on here. Another thing here, the compile time options for Open 9X basically means, like I said before, there's not enough memory in the 18 Mega 64 to have all the options. But if you read through here, it's got some of the it's got all the features that the 9XR will have the potential to do as well. You've got, you know, better audio feedback, play voice files, speech language modification, haptic feedback, so it vibrates like your PlayStation 2 does. The list goes on. Oh, here's the protocols. PXX protocol. That's going to be the new protocol for the FR Sky gear, and that's coming out soon. And on that, FR Sky have a new radio coming out as well, which will be potentially a 9XR killer. So moving on, I'd say it'll be more expensive though. Just having a guess. And there's DSM2 protocol. That's the Spectrum stuff. It used Spectrum, but it's there. So you got three different protocols there, and yeah, there's that flight phases one, which I don't think the 9XR will have stock, but I haven't started using that. That's pretty complex. That's for like using gliders and stuff like that, and as you're coming into land, applying crow brakes and all that sort of thing. And this is just a demo of one of the mods for the haptic feedback. Yeah, whatever. Okay, there's loads of mods out there. Alright, moving on. Alright, I've left some of these on. These are some of the data sheets. I'll talk about them in a bit. Alright, my main question here I've got, if I can zoom in on it, here I've got the circuit diagram for the 9X radio. Now, I'm guessing, because the price is still $50, I'm guessing that the 9XR has exactly the same board as the 9X in it. And all they've done is they've soldered the... I'm just gonna switch to separate camera. Maybe, nah, this'll do. Oops. And I'm guessing all they've done is done what I've done here in this hack and soldered the wires to the pad, and then they put the ISP port externally. Now, for, you know, it's difficult soldering. It's not for everyone, so thumbs up that they've done that. But I really think to keep the costs down, they've just kept the same board. And to be fair for most users, it's really going to be far and above what they're used to with their last $50 radio. But moving on, I'm hoping they have redesigned the PCB, and if they have redesigned the PCB, I've hoped they've freed up these ports here. Like normally they're connected to a couple of the trim switches and other switches, but these are actually communications ports. They're serial communications ports, and you've got 2 of them on the ATmega64. Now I've freed up one so I can talk to my FR Sky module to do the telemetry, and that works a treat. That's on my website about how to do that, and you can also free up a second one. And if you did that, you potential to talk to your FPV gear. You know, you really got to imagine hard, like, why would you want to do that? Well, you know, you could have your telemetry coming down from your FR Sky stuff and then pop it across to your video receiver and have your OSD on your receiver instead of on your plane. So if you crash it, it's not as expensive. That's one option. Antenna tracking data can go down that as well. Can go down in here and then be sent on to your antenna tracker. And I didn't see on the back of the 9XR, I would really have loved to have seen 2 extra ports with the serial communications on there. That would have been brilliant. It would have meant extra cost. They probably would have put an RS232 chip in there to make it more robust, so people plug the wrong shit in, it wouldn't blow the MCU up. But I really hope they've redesigned the board, and there's some nice big fat pads there, so us nerds can get in there and actually hack that. So cross fingers, Hobby King. If you haven't done it this time, please, in your version 2, if you're going to start manufacturing your own boards for these babies, please just make those few changes. And the firmware handles it. So I got here the data sheet for the ATmega64. Main thing is the number of pins, 64 pins, hence the name, and it's got 64 kilobytes of flash program memory. Now the Groovin 9X guys, what have I got here? Which one is this? This is one upgrade I've heard of, the ATmega 128, which has got twice the amount of RAM. So you can do a lot more with that, and it's also got, that's got the same amount of pins. So this one would be, I'd say, a little bit more expensive than the ATmega 64. I'd say, $3 or $4. But the Groovin 9X boys, they went and put in a ATmega 2560, which is also the same as what's in an Arduino Mega, and that's got 256 kilobytes of RAM, and it's got a shitload more pins. It's got 100 pins as opposed to 64. And the Turnigy 9X, as it is, it's using up pretty much all the pins. The bar 4 or something, it's using up all the pins on all the switches and stuff like that, and having those extra number of pins will just open this thing up for a modder's heaven. You can add extra joysticks on the back without having to do fancy switching and things like that. So really, I'm saying to the Hobby King guys, have a look at that Groovin 9X board, and if you're going to make a version 2, yeah, this is the way to go. ATmega 2560, and it'll be almost Arduino compatible out of the box as well. So I think I've waffled on enough here. What else have I missed? I'm just going to pause here for a sec. So yeah, the bad points. Well, I've really only got one. The rest are sort of hopeful points, but the bad point is the manual. Here's the 9XR manual. It's pretty basic, okay? It's for the amount of features this thing has got. It's only got 36 pages, eh? Pretty basic, crappy graphics, blah blah blah. It even says down the bottom here, it mentions Jetty Duplex. Now that'll only work. Jetty Duplex is to do with another type of transmitter that does telemetry, and the Jetty Duplex code is basically the same mod that I did for the FR Sky stuff. So maybe they have freed up these serial ports. Crossed fingers, because they've put that in there. I really hope. But this manual, then I sort of thought, hang on, where'd this manual come from? Guess what? It's a verbatim copy of the ER9X manual. You know, written in the same style, the whole sort of thing. Guys, seriously, you've gone to all this effort designing new case and stuff, and you know, you're doing something which really no one in the radio industry has done before. You're releasing something with open source software on it, and you don't even take the time to write a decent manual. They've just cut out the bits they don't want in here and done that. And well, you know, they made a great website, they've done all the design and stuff like that. Bloody hell, get someone to write a manual. It's not that hard. You're going to have a hell of a lot of people bitching and moaning about how hard it is to use. And to be fair, the Open 9X firmware, it is a bit tricky. It's not immediately intuitive how you go through the menus and that sort of thing. And I really think a lot of people, a lot of the beginners, are going to have a hard time. But that won't stop them selling like hotcakes. And typical hobby king thing, just release it, the community will sort it out. And to be fair, that's a good thing as well. But you know, this is their flagship product. Come on, guys, write a decent manual. That'd be nice. Let it, you know, help out the average Joe a bit. To be fair, yeah, it's $50, dirt cheap. And you know, with the added upgrades, with the gimbals in it and the adjustable stick height, if that tickles your fancy, but the gimbals, and they say they've got better quality switches and stuff in them. Guys, big thumbs up. So I won't be buying one. I'm going to stick with my old 9X. But man, I'd like to get my hands on one just so I could see what's inside. But that'll come, eh? That'll come. Like, sure enough, people will start getting them and they'll start opening them up, and all the photos will come out, and we'll find out what processor they got and whether it's got the exact same board in it or not. So I'm guessing yes, it does have the same board. So yeah. Now for the shameless plug, because I'm trying to make a living out of doing this blogging stuff. My website, I've got the Turnigy 9X upgrades, FR Sky telemetry and more, and I'm pretty safe to bet that these upgrades, LCD backlight, no, FR Sky stuff, getting the FR Sky stuff to work with telemetry will probably apply to the 9XR. So once you get your 9XRs, and if you've got the FR Sky gear, have a look here. I've gone a bit of effort writing those. So yeah, thanks for watching, and hopefully I'll have more for you in the future. I've got some my little mini tricopter has been going really well. I've done a few more FPV flights and loving it, and I'm about to strap the HD camera on it, so hopefully I'll get some footage of that soon. Anyway, see you later, guys. Have a good one. Hey, I got it. How good was that?